All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you guys how to do is to get to the Google Classroom interface. So if you open up a new tab in Chrome, as you know, there's the waffle up here for the Google Apps, and you just go down to Google Classroom, and it'll bring you to this window. Now, if you have any other classes created or you're part of any, they will be showing up here. As you can see, I don't have any, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign to create a classroom. I'm going to call it Google Classroom Intro, and my subject is going to be Google Classroom. Now you can notice that I'm not putting in a section or a room number. Room number is more for if you're traveling, like you're a French teacher or a prep teacher, and you don't have a designated room, so you can keep your student sections different. And the same thing for sections. That's more for intermediate and high school students where you have them going between classes. So you can be teaching math to like 5 or 6 different classes of students. So you can have section 1, section 2, section 3, and that way you can keep all of that organized in your classroom. And as you can see, you're greeted here by the stream page. And this is sort of like the live feed where your students are going to be able to interact with you. You can post all your assignments, all of your quizzes, everything will be showing up here for them to be able to see. You can post greetings for them as well. And there's a bunch of other things that'll happen on here that I'll go through as we go through more of Google Classroom. And the first thing I'm going to start here with is just a little bit of fun. You can either select a theme or upload a photo. And what that does is it just changes the banner across the top and makes it a little more personalized for you and what you think your class is going to be about. And then besides stream up here, we have classwork. This is where you're going to create all of your assignments, your quizzes, your folders for your different subjects that you teach. It's where you get access to the Google Calendar and the Google Drive folder, and I'll be going over those a little bit more in a sec. And then you have your People tab, which is where you can add additional teachers to your class, or you can add students. And I'll go over how to add students in a couple of different ways later on. So for now, let's go back to classwork here. And I'm going to create my first topic. So we're going to say math. And then you see how it creates a heading here for that. And let's go ahead and create another one. Create French. And we'll do one more and we'll call it English. And you see how it makes each one its own sort of subcategory here. You can organize your assignments, your quizzes, and everything like that from when you create them into those folders if they fit into a subject. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and create an assignment. And I'm just going to call it essay. And then you can put an instructions on there if you want, anything like that. Or you can include those in the document if you want to attach a document, or if you want to create a document for the students, you can do that as well. So if you go create and then hit doc, it's going to create a blank document for you, and it's going to open it right up. And then you can change the title to whatever you want the title of the assignment to be from your students. In this case, I'm just going to call it essay. And then you can put your instructions in here if you want, or you can just leave it blank and you can close it out when you're done putting in whatever you want, and it'll leave it here. Now, it won't change the name of it here, but it will when you post it, so you don't have to worry about that. On the other side here, you can see that students can view this file, so they can't change it, they don't get a copy of it, but they can view it. So if you wanted to do like an instructional piece or an instructional documentation, that's the way you would want to do that one. Students can edit a file is great if you're doing a collaborative assignment where you want the entire class to work on it, be able to put in information, and then you have one sort of group area for them to do that, or you can make a copy for each student. And what that does is every time a student opens it up, sorry, correct that, for every student that opens it up, they get a copy of the assignment. And so that's their own copy, and it renames it for them as soon as they do it. It puts in their name, followed by the assignment name, followed by the date. So in that information, you'll be able to see who's made it and what day they started it on. And then for now, you can also, if you have other classes, you can choose which class to share it with over here. As I've only got the one class, it's not giving me an option for that. And then if you go to students, say you have students with IEPs or different learning needs, you can go in here and you can share them a different assignment if that's sort of the case. And you don't have to share it to the rest of the class and vice versa. You can also have a running tally of marks available in Google, and we'll get to that a little later. So for right now, I'm going to make this essay worth 10 marks. For due dates, these are really useful, I find. You can go ahead and you say we'll make it due for April 10th at 3 p.m. If you type the numbers in, I suppose. So what that does is now on Friday, April 10th at 3 p.m., it's going to stop. It's going to close the box so that people can't hand it in past that point. So if someone's late, they're going to have to email you and get in contact with you to have you reopen it or accept their assignment for them. And then under topics here, you can go and put it in wherever. I'm going to put it under English as this is an English assignment. And then if you have a rubric, you can attach a rubric from under here from a different sheet or anything like that, but you can also create a rubric and they have their own layout. So you can have criteria, will go with grammar, and then you can put in a description of it, how many points it's worth, what they can get for a level, description of what they did, and then you can just add that onto it. Afterwards, I'm going to discard it because I don't need a rubric on this. And then you just go up here and you hit assign. Oh, and I should go over one other thing here on that as well. So if I go back and I go edit, there's this originality report. What that does is Google will check for plagiarism on your assignments from their students. So if they were to put in a Google search, what is The Great Gatsby, and they put in the first answer they come across, it'll check and be like, this is copied word for word from the internet, and it's probably been plagiarized. You should check it out. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create another assignment here, and I'm just going to call it magic, and it's going to be based on a handout that I have that I want to give to the students. So you would just come here and go to add, and you can add from a Google Drive, a link, a file, a YouTube video, whichever. And I'm going to select a file because I have one on my computer already set for this. And I'm glad to see some more people are joining. Just to sort of recap, I am recording this session, so I do ask that you please put your microphone on mute and turn off your camera. And then I'm just going to attach that file there. And now they're going to be able to see that, and they'll be able to get the instructions from it and what have you. And if you want to create another document for them to use, you can do that. Or you can have them create their own and upload it to the assignment page as well. So again, same sort of stuff over here. I'm going to put it in French. I'm not going to put a due date on it. Actually, that's a lie. I am going to put a due date on it. I'm going to say it's due on the 13th by 9 a.m. And the other thing you can do is, say you have this made up in advance and you don't want to assign it right away to them, you want to do it on the day you're actually going to do it. You can click on beside assign and go down to schedule, and then say you're not actually covering this topic until Friday the 10th at 8 a.m. You can hit schedule on that, and at Friday at 8 a.m., it'll become available for them. So you can see here how it's grayed out. That means it's not been assigned to them yet, and it's going to be scheduled to come out on April 10th at 8 a.m. And if you go over to the stream, you'll see that the one that we have created for the essay is available here, but the other one is not, so they won't be able to see that either. Another really cool thing is that they have this quiz assignment. And what that does is it creates a blank quiz, which is awesome because it's got the marking scheme and everything in it already. For when you set it up, we're going to call this Math Quiz 1. And then you just click here on the blank quiz, and like with everything else in Google, it opens it up automatically. And then you can go ahead and rename it. And you can put in a description. So please complete all questions. And you can put in your first question. So what is 10 times 9? And for this one, I'm going to use a multiple choice, but you could have them just write in a short answer. But with multiple choice, I'm going to go ahead and put in 90. Okay, and then you can go down here to where it says answer key. And then you just go ahead and you select the correct answer, and you make how many points you want the question to be worth. Then you can go ahead and hit done. And what this does is now the student will get marked as soon as the quiz is completed. They'll be able to go and review their marks, so they'll be able to see what they got right, what they got wrong, and what questions they got wrong. So they'll be able to get a better understanding of where they stand as well. And to make sure that they actually answer all the questions, you can go down here to where it says required, toggle that on, and now they have to fill that in order to be able to submit the quiz. And to add more, you just go over here, hit the little plus sign, and it is multiplication. And for this one, I'm going to choose to use a short answer, but you could put in multiple choice. You could put in, select the best answers, whichever. But if you go into answer key here, you can actually put in multiple versions of the correct answer, and it will check what the student puts in against that and go, okay, you know what, this is it. Correct. Student gets, 2 points, let's say, on the quiz. And then you can also go here if you're confident you've put in all the variations or a majority of the variations you're going to get, you can go mark all other answers as incorrect. If you don't do that, otherwise you're going to have to go through and review it and do a little bit of marking as well, which is fine. But this is a cool feature that it does have. And again, I'm going to mark that as required. And now if they don't complete both questions, they can't submit the quiz. And another really cool thing it has, but it's not something that's going to work so much for us in our current situation, but if you're in a classroom again and we're back in the environment and you want to use a quiz like this, it's got this lock mode on Chromebooks. So what this does is if you toggle that on, they won't be able to open the quiz on anything but a school board issued Chromebook. And once they open the quiz, they won't be able to use any other tabs in their Chrome browser or any other programs until they've completed the quiz. So it sort of stops cheating that way. And if you do have short answer or long answer questions, again, you just hit the originality report, and it will double check to make sure that no one's plagiarizing anything. And grade importing is kind of important from here because it'll take the quiz answers and the marks from it, and it'll import it directly into your grades page. So that way you don't have to worry about bringing them in your manually. And then again, just go up here and hit assign. And then you'll see that on the stream again, that one has been assigned and is ready to go without a due date. And the other thing about that is, so when I made those due, if you go into the calendar, you'll see here that I've got the assignments due, and it shows up, and it'll be in the student's calendar, it'll be in your calendar. Later on when I'm also going over it, if you have added the parent as a guardian or guardian onto the Google Classroom, they will also get a notification of the assignments. So they'll be able to see that information as well. So let's go ahead and talk about how you add people. So for students, you can go here, you can go to the plus sign, and you can search for their name. So for in this case, I'm going to add my colleague Adrian, and he would be added. If I hit invite, he'd be added to the class. He could accept it, and then he'd be part of the student part of it. Another way to do it is if you go back to your stream page, there's this class code. And you can take this code and you can copy it into an email and you can send it to your students, or you can put it up on the display in your classroom and the students can log in through their devices to use it, or you can email it to a parent or guardian if they've got you've got like kindergartens, grade ones, grade twos that don't necessarily have access to their or know how to access their emails independently yet. And then if you give them that code, they would go to the Google Classrooms page, same way that I showed you guys how to get there. They would hit the little plus sign, and then they would go join class, and then they just have to put in your class code, and away they go. They would get your class to show up here, and they'd have access to everything just as a normal student would. Another way to do it, because I know you guys have, classes between 25 and 30 kids, so it's a little tedious to go through and search for each one. If you get a document or an Excel sheet from your principal or from your secretary or from us as well, if we can find a way to get them out to you guys, you can select all of the emails by selecting the top one, hitting Shift, and then clicking on the bottom one. And that gives you all of the email addresses highlighted. Then you can just copy them, go back into People, paste them in here. And as you'll see, that gives me access to all of you guys to invite you to the class here at once. Now, as soon as you've added your students and they've accepted your invitation, there will be a button that shows up here. I believe it is either invite parent or invite guardian. I do forget the wording exactly on it, and I apologize for that. But once you've clicked it, if there's a parental email on file, what it'll do is it'll send them an invitation. They'll get the invitation, and then they won't be able to see anything that's going on in the class, but they'll get notifications for assignments, quizzes, marks, all that kind of stuff. So they'll be able to be up to date on what's going on and be getting that information that they want. And if they want to see the actual assignments and that, then they have to go in through the kids' email and do it that way. And then, like I said, for grades over here, it'll line up your assignments along the top and your students down the side. And then, if you mark the essay and they get a 90 on it, it'll go in there. The quiz will go in here. You can put in all the grades and stuff like that, and the students will be able to see it, and the parents will get invitations to see that information as well. So they'll have a running tally of how their grades are doing and how they're doing for the year overall at this point. So that's the basics here. The only other thing that I want to cover before I open this up to questions is that if whether you or the students go to the side here, there's a to-do list. You'll be able to see everything that you've assigned so far, as will they, and they will get a view of the actual assignment that they have not on this turned in and assigned. You get this view because you can see how many students have opened the assignment and taken it on for themselves and how many have turned it in. That way you can have say you got a class of 30, you can say, okay, well, 29 people have started it and 29 and 28 have handed in. I'm just waiting on one person to start and one person and two people to hand it in. Gives you sort of a quick reference guide for that kind of stuff too. But yeah, I think at this point I'm going to open it up for questions, either via the chat or if you just want to unmute your mic and ask away. I'll do my best to answer them for you, and we'll go from there. Hello. If you share it with them as either so if you've created one and you put one up here as I have for each student will get a copy or everyone can edit it, then yes, they will be able to. Otherwise, no, it'll be just they can view it and they can get the information from it. The easiest way is just to import it into Google Docs. So let's just go here, use that to open up Google Docs. Here we go, File, open, and then you would go to upload, and you would select from this device, and you would select whichever document it is you wanted to upload, hit open. It'll open it up in Word, or in a Word format in Documents, and then you would just go File, and because I haven't done it yet, but there is an option that'll come up here that says convert to docs. So you will end up with it being a document file that way. So Karina, the best way to do it is to email the parents their child's email, the password, and the code. That way they can put it in that way, or you can add them to the Google Classroom and then just send the parents the kids' email and password so they can just log in and they'll already have access to the Google Classroom. I know it'd be nice if I could have given you a shortcut, but unfortunately, there isn't one. Yes, they would be able to access the child's email for Google Meets, invitations. They'd be able to see the Google Classroom. They'd have access to any of the programs that the student has access to as well. So the best thing you could do there is you would perhaps email them a copy of the document for the students to be working on. That way, both of you can see it and you could make comments on it. So, like, say, I put in hi, hello, how are you? You could come up here and go comment, and you select what it is you want to comment on. And you could say, duplicate greeting in this case. And then the student would be able to see that off to the side and they'd be able to go, okay, well, let's resolve that issue. And you could comment and talk with them that way. Otherwise, the best way to do it would be via email. Okay, so if you wanted to just pose a question to the students in your Google Classroom, you could actually do that right on the stream page, right here. And then when you've created one, like I have here, they will get the option to respond to it. So they can just go, hello, and that'll come up as a comment on your initial page. This is also the best way that, say you wanted to share a video or something with your students. You could just go here to add. You can upload the file if you have it, or you can put it through YouTube, either by searching for it or via the URL. And actually, while we're on the topic of YouTube, I have a video here that might be helpful for some of your parents. What it is it's a basic introduction for the student and the parent side of Google Classroom and how for them to be able to use it and interact with it on the basic level as well. So that might be something you want to share with your parents. And I will also put a copy of the chat in with the video when I share it, so you will have access to the link in there as well. I'm not sure what you mean by privacy settings for teachers. Sorry, can you elaborate? Oh, absolutely. You would just find the post comment that you didn't like. You would just click on the dots here and you would just go delete. Now, there is another thing you can do in terms of privacy. If you go up to the settings and then under general on your stream page, you can do students can post and comment, or if you don't want them posting because you're afraid you're going to have people posting inappropriate things, you can make it so they can comment only, sort of keeping all of that chatter underneath posts that you make. Or if you have a you're like, I don't want to risk it at all. You can make it so that only teachers can post or comment on things and you don't have any interactions from your students on there. It's all done via email. You would go here to where it says all students and say I only wanted Bradley to see it. I would just click on his name and then everyone else would be unhighlighted and you would hit post and only that student would see that message. The other thing is that on the stream page over here where it says upcoming, all of the assignments that are due within the next couple of days will also populate in here, so they'll be able to see that right from the stream page and you'll be able to see it as well. So it'll serve as a reminder for both you and for the students. Are there any more questions? Yeah, so what would happen is if you created an assignment saying, upload a video of yourself doing task X, Y, and Z, they could take a video of themselves and then under the assignment page, where they click in over here, it'll say hand in. They can attach a file. They can choose to attach a document, a photo, a video, anything they need for the requirements of that assignment. 100%. Is the video option a separate session? Sorry, do you mean talking about Google Meets? I can do my best to answer a couple questions about that right now too, if you have them. Sure. All right. So the easiest way to set them up, I find anyway, is you just go right into your calendar and say I wanted to set one up. I would go here, I would create an event, I'd go more options, and then right over here, you can add a conference. So you get Google Meets, it's gonna create a Hangout directly for you, and then you can just add guests to it. Now they do have to be school board emails for it to work. Well, recommended school board emails for it anyway. Um, and then once you add the guest, they'll get an email notification saying, hey, are you able to come to this? And it'll give them a link directly to the Google Meet session itself. Yes, if they've got you added as a teacher, Sylvia, they'll be able to do the same posting that they do. You'll be able to see all the work they set up. You'll be able to set up your own lessons, your own folders, everything like that. So if you want to do a collaborative document, you will be able to see who has done things. Maybe Adrian can help me out on this because I forget how you can go back and view um, who has edited a document and who has not. But I know there is a way to do it. You can go through and you can see all the version changes in that have happened. I will look that up and I will get back to you on that uh, and give you a solid answer on it. Yeah, I will be posting this video. You can go to the and I'm going to post a link here onto our website, our Learning Technologies website. And in there, you'll be able to find stuff on Google Classroom, basics of setting it up. And you can also email myself or your school technician, and they'll be able to provide information for you as well on Google Classroom and anything else. So to delete an old classroom, you just go back over to where you've got classes. And then right here beside the name, just go ahead and you hit archive. And what that does is it doesn't delete the class, but it archives it so no one can make changes to it. You can't use it anymore, and students can't interact with it or anything like that either. Now you can unarchive a class if you go, you know what, there's an assignment in there that I really like and I want to use it with another class. 100% you can get it from there. Actually, that does bring me to a point that I forgot to mention to you guys. You've got your class drive folder right here. If you click on that, it'll bring you right into your Google Drive with the class drive folder. And it'll show you, see here, I've got the essay folder. So it'll show you who has handed it in here. There'll be a copy of it for you guys. And it keeps it nice and orderly like that. Plus, as you can see here, there's essay, quiz one, and there's the magic PDF that I uploaded. These are your original copies, and they won't be changed no matter what you do. You'll always have that master copy that you can pull back on. All right. Anything else from anyone here? The best way I could say to keep it simple for primary students is to not create assignments or anything like that, but instead to just use the stream. So instead of, posting an assignment, come here, add a video file of you talking to them, or a photo of the assignment you want them to do, and then as a response, have them put in what they want. Now, if you want them to upload a video or anything like that, you do have to create an assignment that they can sign back into. But otherwise, the simplest way is just to put up your information here and have them do a comment on it, maybe. Or have their parents help them make a comment on it. All right, well, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and say we can end this session. Thank you all for coming in. It was great to have you here, and I hope that this was informative and helpful. And I will be posting both the chat and the video once I have it in my inbox. All right, thank you very much.